it's me, and today I'll be doing a review on the reissue of the NECA Godzilla 1994. So the reason I got this is because I really want a Heisei Godzilla. I've got the 1989, but I made him into burning, and I don't want to really get another one of him. I want a different one. So I decided this is the only other NECA one that they have, the only other Heisei Godzilla that NECA has made, and it's not accurate to the film, but it's a Heisei and it's something that I can do some customization on. But before we get into the actual figure, we'll go over the box, another reason I got the reissue and not the original is because it's got the really nice box, because if you see the original, all of the original NECA Godzillas, they just come in a plastic clear box, but with these they actually have like the poster from the film, so you can see Little Godzilla, Mogira, Godzilla, and then Space Godzilla. Now I don't know any of the vehicles. Oh yeah, there's also Mothra. Don't know any of the vehicles. Got a smaller version on the side. 65th anniversary of Godzilla. Same on that side. On the top, Godzilla vs Space Godzilla. Choking hazard. On the back, it's got some really nice promotional pictures, and it's got a little sort of summary or an introduction to the film. On the bottom, just some legal stuff. And then another reason I really like these, because they have the sort of window or door, so you can see inside. They've got some little, so they've got a little shining, I can't remember what that is, whether that's Space Godzilla flying towards you or just a random shiny star. But then it's got another big Godzilla, which is only slightly bigger than the actual thing. But then it's also got a little card in the bottom which tells you how to attach the tail to the other part of the tail. It's got a little sort of ring of, I'm pretty sure that's Space Godzilla's Corona Beam. Yes, that is what it's called in the film. He shoots lightning and it's called a Corona Beam. But now that we've gone over the box, now we can get on to Godzilla. Now, it's not as good as I expected. Like, on eBay now, they're about 40 quid, which is quite a lot. If you want a Heisei Godzilla, go for the 1989, but if you want, this one moves a lot more, but the 1989 is a lot more accurate and has better detail. But first of all, I'll go over some of the things that I'm not very happy with this Godzilla. First is the overall paint scheme, just because I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's a really, really weird sort of dark green, a dark olive green, which usually any Heisei Godzilla is just a charcoal grey. The dorsal plates, instead of being white, are, I don't really know what that green, like a mouldy green, I'd say, is how I'd describe it. It's got a couple bits of paint slop here and there. You can see that one, it's gone over a bit onto the detail. That one, only one half is done nicely, and stuff chips off easily. The nails are a strange greeny blue colour, which I think's an odd choice, because they're more of just a yellowy white. But something that I do quite like is the teeth, because if you look inside, you can see his teeth are painted really, really quite incredibly. There's no slop, they're all individually painted, which, that's pretty blooming impressive. And then, unfortunately, on the top, on the sides, really unfortunately, they're not painted. But then when you look inside, even his second row of teeth inside is really beautifully painted, and each tooth is individually done. And they've got, the colour for the teeth is pretty nice. It's still a bit more green than they should be. They are just, again, a yellowy white. The eyes are done really nicely, but something that I found a bit weird is on mine. So if you see on this, you can see these little white dots on his eyes, which are meant to be the reflection, and they don't do that now on the newer NECA Godzillas. They just make the eyes shiny. But on these, they painted little white dots on. But unfortunately on mine, they went a bit over the top, and they just completely went over his pupils. So instead of having normal black pupils, he's got white pupils, which to me looks really peculiar. Like, they seriously messed up on that, because you can't even really see a black pupil whatsoever. It is just white. If I'm honest, the paint scheme for this, I'd sort of say it's like a zombie Godzilla. It's very green, very sort of dirty colours, and then white pupils. So I guess it is sort of a zombie looking Godzilla. And now that I've gone over the paint, the detail is actually very impressive. Like, the legs, as you can see, the detail's so fine. I mean, it isn't accurate. Usually a Heisei Godzilla, they have these massive, massive sort of creases on their legs, and he has more of like scales, which looks really peculiar. Another thing that's not very good with this is his thighs are really skinny. Like, that's one of the things the Heisei Godzilla is known for, is having huge thighs. And unfortunately, he's a fairly skinny Godzilla, which is a bit peculiar. But that's one of the things I bought this for, was I'm going to customize it. I'm going to give it a full repaint. I'm going to sculpt up on the thighs. Something else that I'm going to do is, as you can see, his head is slightly too long. So I'm just going to cut one segment out, probably that bit there with the teeth in. So I'll just cut that out and the head will be shortened, which is probably all I'm going to do for the head. Oh yeah, also the cheeks, he's got a very, very slim face, so I'm going to build up his cheeks a little bit. And maybe on his neck, I don't really know. But the chest is a really nice, the usual, it's got I don't know what that's called, the line down the middle. It's got some nice sculpting on the top of the thighs and in the crotch area. There's even the detail, I don't know if you could see, inside it's even detailed and sculpted. Yeah, you can see, if I move him forward a bit, you can even see the inside is sculpted quite nicely, which is very impressive. The tail, now, I mean, I'm not too annoyed with this tail, because what NECA does is, because they can't fit him in with his tail, they have the tail, it isn't attached in the box, you have to take it out and stick it back on. But this tail isn't actually too bad. Like, I saw it compared to the Monster Arts, and it's only about like an inch shorter. So it's actually a pretty blooming good length. Unfortunately, it isn't as thick as it should be. Like, you can see the difference in thickness between these two tails is quite dramatic, and especially the length. But dorsal plates, sculpted very nicely. They're pretty accurate to the film. I think they're still slightly too short, I think. Another thing that surprised me was, I don't remember the Heisei Godzilla having a toe. I remember they had 4 toes, but I don't remember having a big toe there. Because if you look at the 89, I mean, these are 2 completely different suits. But I didn't know, like, you can see he does have a big toe and that one doesn't. Which is something new that I didn't know about the 1994 Godzilla. But overall, the sculpt, it's impressive, but it's nowhere near accurate. If someone showed this to me, I'd say it's more of just a generic Heisei Godzilla than specifically the 1994 Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla suit. But I'll go over the articulation in a second, but it moves so much nicer than the 1989, and also, so compared to the Monster Arts 2001 Godzilla, his arms have better articulation than the Monster Arts, because I'll show you in a second, but they can go straight out. So on that note, I guess I'll go into the articulation. So his jaw is just on a hinge. It can open and close, but I think it's some sort of combination with a hinge and a ball joint, because when it's fully open, once you close it, he's got an underbite, so his teeth stick out on the front, but you can just fix it by opening it and pushing it backwards, which is quite interesting. So I guess it's a hinge with a ball and socket joint behind it. The top of the back of the head is on a ball joint, so you can look that far up and that far down. That section's also on a ball joint. And this is just like a little sleeve for the neck, so that doesn't have a ball joint in there. It's just a sort of stick in the middle. So combined, he can look a fair way up and down. He can look left and right, side to side, which is quite good. Shoulders are on, I think, yeah, sort of I think it's a hinge and a ball joint. The biceps are on a swivel and a hinge, which is very impressive, because even with the newest Heisei Godzilla, he doesn't have that joint there, but he does, so this increases the articulation quite a lot. The elbow is also a swivel hinge, so it can go that far in, that far out, and he can, I'm pretty sure, one of the few Godzillas that can actually T-pose. So they can also spin all the way around. The wrists are on a ball joint, so unfortunately you can't get the normal sort of hands to the chest Heisei look, which is a bit unfortunate, because you can see he's got his hands to his chest. That's about as close as you can get, which is a bit unfortunate. I don't really know what to do about that. But then another thing that's really, I love that NECA has done, is they hinge the fingers just in front of the thumb. So he can, I mean, it's not a fist at all. It's more of like a hand puppet hand. So it can open and close quite nicely. The chest has a really nice range of movement, so he can go side to side very nicely, about altogether that far down and that far up. It can spin all the way around, which is really nice. And then the hips are on a ball joint, so ball joint there and a ball joint inside. So they can, I want to be a bit careful with this, they can go out a bit. Yeah, they can spin, so you can get him to do the splits, which is quite impressive. Then, yeah, so they can spin all the way around, which is really nice. The knees, I'm pretty sure are, I think, a swivel hinge. Yep, they can spin all the way around really nicely. They can go that far back, that far forward, so you can have straight legs. And then his ankles are on a ball joint, so they can go, they have a bit of a rock, they can spin all the way around, and they can go a bit forwards and back, so you can get a really nice kick with this Godzilla. Now the tail, so it's ball joints up to this bit here, which is bendy wire, so these combined can actually move pretty far, and then that far up. But unfortunately, the tail's bendy wire, but it seems to be like really thick bendy wire, so I've been trying and I really can't get it to move that much. You can, I bet if you heated it up, it would be able to move a lot more, but I'm struggling a bit to actually get that to move. But articulation, like I said, it's really, really pretty impressive for such an old figure. Because basically, this is the reissue, but they kept it all the same. The sculpt, the detail, the articulation, but they changed the paint a bit. I bought this because I thought he would be charcoal grey, because I saw these promotional pictures. Well, I saw different ones, and he wasn't this shade of green. I thought he was the usual charcoal grey, and when I got him, I was a bit disappointed. because that's another reason I didn't get the original, because he was this colour. But even the reissue is, so I don't really know the difference between this one and the original. But now that I've gone over all that, I can do a size comparison. So this is the usual 6 inches, but it seems to be just slightly shorter, because as you can see, here he is next to 1989 or my custom 1995 Burning Godzilla. So you can see he's pretty short compared to him. Then I've got another one which I haven't done a review on, which is the Trendmasters Godzilla 1994, which is actually, I'm pretty sure they designed it on the poster. As you can see, it's in the same pose with the red eyes. But tell me if you'd like to see me do a review on this. I haven't done one because there's not really much to do, but just in case you want my opinion on it. And then here he is next to the NECA Godzilla 1954, which I compare him to everything. So no matter what figure, like Pacific Rim, Alien, Godzilla, I always compare this Godzilla to them. Then I've got the NECA King Kong, which he's massive compared to him. That doesn't scale whatsoever. And then finally, I've got him compared next to my custom bootleg Monster Arts 2019/2021, who I need to fix his arms again. But this is a really small Monster Arts, and even he's only just slightly taller than him. But that about does it for this review. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.